Good morning, this is Nicholas from Gator Gaming, and today I bring you guys my Norman Osborn Green Goblin deck profile 2026 post. Lovely Strixhaven. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've been wanting to build a Green Goblin deck for a while. However, I had a big caveat to building this commander because I didn't understand how this commander worked until I actually saw a different version of not this commander, but a different Spider-Man commander in action and realize the interaction. So I'm new to Magic. Hello, my name is Nick. And I did not realize if the back of the card has mana, you can cast the other side. You don't ever have to cast the front side. And that's hurt this commander from, I might one day build it too. I absolutely must build it because Green Goblin is insane. Now, Norman Osborn, he's cool. He's like unblockable and he connives when he attacks. However, that is not really that what matters. Cool Norman, yeah, no one cares about Norman. Everyone cares about the Goblin himself. And the Goblin is insane. He's a 4-cost Grixis commander, and he has lovely flying and menace. And it says spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. And he has the Goblin Formula ability, which gives all your creatures and all your spells that you discard that turn Mayhem, which is an insane ability. It basically allows you to cast spells from your graveyard equal to its mana cost. However, because the Green Goblin already reduces the cost by 2, then congratulations, you're actually casting things at a lower discount as long as you discard them. Now, there's many ways to build the Green Goblin. You can build it as a really cool Spell Slinger deck. You can build it as a really cool artifact beatdown deck. You can build it as this creature spam. And I have a lot of ways I want to build this deck. However, I decided to go a different route. A route I have not seen anybody make, nor have I seen a channel on, and that is going Goblin Tribal. That's right, I decided to go Goblin Tribal with the Green Goblin, and the reason why is because I always wanted to build a Krenko Mob Boss-like deck after I see my friend Enrique play the deck. Now, I realized I didn't want to just build the same deck, so I was looking for a Goblin commander of my own. However, that's when I realized the Green Goblin kind of fixes a lot of issues that Krenko Mob Boss had. If you don't know, Krenko Mob Boss is one of the best token generating decks of all time. It is a mono red commander that doubles the amount of goblins you control just by tapping them. It is a very powerful commander. It is, I believe, a CDH level deck, and it is super terrifying. However, usually 1 or 2 board wipes just ends the entire deck's winning chances because red has horrible draw ability and the deck is very good at spamming everything onto the battlefield because it's cheap, but in not keeping a good hand size once they get interrupted. Once their board is wiped, they're kind of just out of the game and they're left with just top deck mode. And I didn't want that. So I wanted to play a commander that was Goblin themed that wouldn't brick if you board wiped it. And I feel like the Green Goblin is the best commander for that. There is some other color commanders, like for example in Lorwyn Eclipse, we got another it's called Rakdos commander that's Goblin themed, and he gave you access to black, which is cool. But I think the fact that Green Goblin is Grixis, with the fact that he is blue, black, and red, makes the deck just feel way more better. It may not be as fast as a normal Krenko deck is, but the deck is still quite fast and it has a lot more recovery, which feels really good. So that's really what this video is about. And yeah, let's just get straight into this. So first things first, we are playing the Goblin Recruiter. This card's awesome. This card is literally like the best card in the deck. Because when this card enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any number of Goblin cards, reveal them, then shuffle those cards onto the top of your library in any order. So it basically allows you to stack your deck and follow up plays, which is pretty nasty. Now, the reason why this is nasty, because it allows you to shuffle those cards on the top of your deck in any order, so you can put those cards how you want them. So you can basically set up your following turns to hopefully just win a game. When we get into one of the better Goblin commanders, I'm going to show you the combos you can do. But this card is really good. Not to mention, because of our commander, it's actually just a 1-cost card, which feels really nice. Next, you're also playing Goblin Merton, another Goblin search card. This card's amazing. This card says, hey, when I enter the battlefield, you may search your library for a Goblin card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Really solid card, searches your deck, feels really good. Overall, it's a great card to get your Goblin commanders. We also, because we have access to black, we also get Goblin Harbinger from the original Lorwyn set. Now this card says, hey, when I come into play, search your library for a Goblin card, reveal it, and put that card on top of your then shuffle your library and put that card on top. So it doesn't technically add it to hand, but it does allow you to stack your deck, allowing you to get set up, which feels nice. Next, we have Grub, the Storied Monarch, or Marchant, or whatever the fuck his name is. This is the new Lorwyn one. He's pretty cool. He is Rakdos, so he is red-black. And he says, whenever he enters, congratulations, you may transform him by paying red. And that is pretty cool. Also, when he enters, you may return one target Goblin card from your graveyard to your hand, which guides you some recursion. However, his other side is actually pretty cool. So he says, whenever he attacks, you may blight one. If you do, create a tapped and attacking token that is a copy of a blighted creature. Except it has beginning of the end step, sacrifice this token, which is really cool. Kind of token copying goblin creature. Really cool commander. Ultimately, I decided to go with just him in the 99, but overall he is still really cool. Next, we have the Lucky Grot himself, the Street Kingpin, Krenko. This card's amazing. He says whenever he attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on him, and then he creates a number of 1 red goblin tokens equal to his power. Pretty powerful card. This could easily be a commander in his own right. Really powerful card. Next, we have Legion Warboss. This card's cool. He has the Mentor ability, which is okay, but the part that matters is at the beginning of combat, on your turn, create a 1/1 red creature token, Goblin, with haste. It gains haste till your turn, and must attack if able. So it's just another token generator. Feels really good. Nice card. Speaking of token generators, we also have General Crete, the Boltbringer. This card says whenever one or more goblins you control attacks, create 1 red goblin token creature tapped and attacking. And whenever a creature you control entered, this card deals 1 damage to each opponent. Really cool burn card, which is really nice. Next, we have Squeal, the Diabolus Monarch. He has haste. When he attacks, you create a 1/1 red goblin token that is tapped and attacking. Also, if he's ever cast him from graveyard by paying the 4 mana, exile other cards to your graveyard rather than pay its mana cost. So that's pretty cool. You can always just cast them from grave without paying mana, which feels nice. Next, we have the Hound Squad Heavy. Now, this is a cool, what's it called? A lovely Start Your Engines card that we got in Aether Drift. This card says, start your engines. Other goblins control have haste. At the beginning of your combat, you create a 1/1 red goblin token that is tapped and must attack if able. Also, at max speed, you may add 1 red mana for each goblin you control. Really solid card. Really awesome from Aether Drift. Great stuff. Next, we have the Goblin King himself, which I think is my favorite art out of all the goblins. I just feel like it has a real Spawn look. Anyway, other goblins control get +1/+1 and have Mountain Walk, which says if your opponent controls a mountain, congratulations, they're unblockable. This can easily help you win games. Next, speaking about winning games, Treasure Enabler. This is a Goblin Rogue that says whenever your opponent taps an artifact for gain mana, you gain control of that artifact until the next turn. End of the next turn. So basically, anytime your opponent taps a Soul Ring, an Arcane Signet, any cool mana rock, congratulations, you get to steal it, and then you get to use it on your turn, cast everything you want, and they do go back to your opponent, but who cares? You got the mana you needed, which feels really good. Next, for our final 3 costs, we're playing the Twilight Diver. This is another card from Lorwyn, the new Lorwyn Eclipse. This card says when it enters, you surveil 2. Also, whenever 1 or more creatures you control enter from the graveyard, if they were cast, create a token at the copy of it. This ability triggers only once each turn. This is a powerful ability. We are casting creatures from graveyard with Mayhem, so we will be making tokens of the non-legendary goblins using the Twilight Diver, which feels really good. Not to mention, because they're all getting discounted because of the Green Goblin's ability, this is actually just a 1 black for a 3/3, which is pretty nice. Next to the Ultimate Green Goblin, at the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card, create a treasure token. It also has a Mayhem, so you can cast it for its Mayhem cost, which feels really good. And because the Green Goblin makes it a discount, it's actually only 1 mana for a 5/4, which is pretty awesome. Next, let's talk about our 4-cost cards. I guess we did have one more 3-cost. My bad. Next, we have Slinging Lieutenant. When this card enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 red tokens. You may sacrifice a Goblin. Target player loses 1 life, and you gain a life. Not once per turn, sacking Goblins to target player lose a life, gain a life. If you're down to a 1v1 situation and you just need to do a couple more damage to win the game, you can easily just sack your entire field and then burn your opponent out with this Goblin. Really great card. Next, we have Siege Gang Lieutenant, another just insanely good card. He has the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control your commander, you create 2 1/1 red Goblin tokens. Those tokens gain haste until the end of turn. And for 2 mana, you may sacrifice a Goblin, and then Lieutenant deals 1 damage to any target. Pretty good stuff. Next, we have Beetleback Chief. When this card enters, you create 2 red Goblin tokens. So for just 2 mana, because you're casting it for its mayhem cost, you get 3 Goblins, which is pretty awesome. It is overall a good card. Same thing with the Sling Gang Lieutenant as well. Next, we are playing a Masked Chameleon because this card can become a copy of any of our Goblin legendaries. Funny enough, we're never becoming a copy of Green Goblin unless we're afraid he will be removed by some way. Honestly, we're usually just using this as a copy like a Krenko Mob Boss or something like that, or your opponent's boss monster. Overall, just a really good card. Next, we have Krenko Mob Boss himself, the best Goblin commander to most people. This card's amazing. You may tap itself, create X 1/1 Goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of Goblins you control. It just doubles your Goblins. It's such a simple ability, but it's so good. Overall, it's just a fantastic commander. Next, we have Sour Bread Auntie. This is a new card from Lorwyn. This says, when this card enters, you may blight 2. If you do, create 2 1/1 black and red creature golems. And then, congratulations, you put -1/-1 to your creatures. So, this card, again, this is a 4-cost card. It makes 3 tokens. And, congratulations, you can also just summon it for 2 mana, which feels nice. Speaking of really good cards, here's Carnage, Crimson Chaos, another just really great card. He is not a lovely Goblin, but he's still, when this card enters, target a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard, put it onto the battlefield. It must attack if able, and then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you must sacrifice it. However, it can just bring back some of your 3-cost or lower creatures, which feels really good. It does have a mayhem cost for 2. So it's always just a 2-cost card, which feels nice. Next, we have Roaming Throne. Roaming Throne is amazing. Doubling your Goblin triggers feels amazing. The fact you cast them for 2 mana feels amazing. It's just a really insane card. Doubling your Goblin triggers is always good. Next, we have Bogart Mob. This does have Champion, so you do have to like banish a Goblin you control to summon this guy. But luckily, when he dies, the Goblin returns. He says, whenever a Goblin you control deals combat damage to a player, put a black 1/1 black Goblin Rogue creature token into play. So it basically says, for the amount of damage we do, we put that many Goblins. So if we did 5 different damages with Goblins, congratulations, you're getting 5 Goblins. This card is just really good, and it's locked behind mono black, or just the black color pool, so Krenko usually does get to play with it. It's really good. Next, you have Wonder, where it'll easily dumping this card to the graveyard. It says, as long as this card is in your graveyard, you control an island. All your creatures have flying. Really great stuff. And we also have Anger. It says, as long as you control a mountain, and this card's in your graveyard, all your creatures have haste, which is also just a really good card. Giving all your Goblins haste matters in this deck because we're not playing the most of the red cards you usually play to give them haste. So this is another good way to give them haste. Next, we'll talk about our 5 drops. We are playing the Green Goblin relevant. It's Flying and Death Touch. It says, whenever Green Goblin attacks, discard a card, then draw a card for each card discarded this way. It's just a looting card, which feels really good. It's a 3/3 5-cost, but because of our commander, it can easily just be a 3-cost, if not even a 1-cost, depending on the other discounters. Next, we have Siege Gang Commander, another just insane Goblin. It's a 5-cost creature that says, hey, when this card enters the battlefield, create 3 1/1 green Goblin, 3 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens, and then you may pay 2 mana, sacrifice a Goblin. This commander deals 2 damage to any target. Really good stuff. The fact that this becomes an army of 4 feels insane and really powerful. Next, we have Pillagers. When this card enters, it deals 1 damage to each creature you control, to each opponent you control, based on the creatures you control. And it also says whenever a creature an opponent controls with a counter on it dies, you create a tapped treasure token. So basically, you put a whole bunch of -1s on the field. You kill a whole bunch of tokens. There are 1 cost, and then you make a whole bunch of treasures. Really good card. It helps you against other token decks. Next, we have one of the best Goblin commanders of all time. And that is Maxis, the Goblin Garage. This card's insane. It says, hey, when this card enters the battlefield, you reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put all Goblin creatures with mana value 5 or less among them onto the battlefield, and the rest to the bottom of your library in any order. And it says, whenever he attacks, he gets a -1/-1 until the end turn for each other Goblin you control. You're never attacking with this guy. The only thing that matters is that when he enters, you summon a shit ton of goblins. Now, the reason why this card's so good is because of Goblin Recruiter. Remember, Goblin Recruiter says when this card enters, you can put any number of goblins from our deck at the top of our deck in any order we want. So what we want to do is that we want to stack the deck so that we have him on top and 6 other insane goblins behind him so that we can instantly cast them on the next turn, get all 6 goblins on the field, and hopefully push for game, or at least get into such a board state that our opponents can't do anything. And it's such a powerful card, and it's one of the best things this deck can do, and it's just a really powerful commander. And then finally, for the last creature we're playing, this card is awesome. I always wanted to build this. This was my other deck I wanted to build if I was ever going to build a Goblin Commander. That being the Igmigna Golif. Now, this card is not a Goblin. However, it is a flying 7-drop with 6/6 power, ward 3, pay 3 life as well. And it also says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create X 1/1 Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, or X is the mana value of that spell. So this card really says, anytime you activate a sorcery, an instant, an enchantment, or an artifact, while this guy's on field, you create that many hastefully goblins equal to that card's mana value. So you play a Soul Wing, you make 1 goblin. You play an Arcane Signet, you make 2 goblins. You play a Herald's Horn, you make 3 goblins. And you just keep going from there. It is just a powerful card. And I feel like it's an honorary goblin commander that I have to play in this deck. Not to mention we have the colors for it. I feel like it's just perfect. It's like one of those boss monster cards. It just feels really good. And then finally, for the last technical creature we're playing, we are playing 1 sorcery that does create tokens. That being Empty the Wardens. That says create 2 1/1 red goblin creatures. It also has Storm. So basically, if you cast a whole bunch of cards before this, you just create a token army, which feels really good. Now that is it for our creatures and our cards that create tokens. Now, oh, actually, that's not true. There's one more card. There's Black Market Connections that also makes tokens. But that is it for our main goblins. Now let's talk about the cards that help us loot. Because Green Goblin, one of his downsides is that he doesn't have an ability that allows him to draw a discard. If he did, like let's say he has an effect to draw a discard when he attacks, he would be like the perfect commander. But because he doesn't, we do have to be playing cards that allow us to discard and draw cards, like Frantic Search that says, hey, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards and untap 3 lands. Basically filtering our hand and allowing us to use the mana in order to cast our creatures for a discount. We also have Seize These Spoils, a really good card. As additional cost of the spell, discard a card, draw a card, draw 2 cards, and then create 2 treasure tokens. No, create a treasure token. My apologies, not 2, just 1. The reason why I got that confused is because some cards make 2 treasure tokens, like Pirate's Privilege. It says, hey, as additional cost of the spell, discard a card, then draw 2 cards, and then create 2 colorless artifact tokens. And then you can sacrifice this artifact and add any mana to your power pool. That's just what treasures do. We also have the Big Score, which also says, hey, as additional cost of the spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasure tokens. See how the looting's going? We also have Unexpected Windfall, which is also another insanely good card. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. Really good stuff. And then finally, for our last looting card, at least for our sorceries and instants, we're playing Path of the Pyromancer. Discard all cards in your hand, add 1 red mana for each card discarded this way, and draw cards equal to that card +1. And then it also has the Walls of the Planeswalker, which says, starting with you, each player votes a Planeswalker or Chaos. If Planeswalker gets more votes, Congratulations, you do. If Chaos gets more votes, Chaos endures. Really interesting stuff. And then now we move on to our reborn spells. We are playing a Patchwork Binding and, of course, a Bloodline Birthing as our final two sorceries. These cards can add all the goblins back from graveyard back to the field. If we eat a board wipe or two, this is just another way to recur all our creatures. It's another way to stay in the game because even though we are looting, we're drawing cards, we still want ways to get back our best goblins, and these are the best ways to do it. So really good cards overall, especially since our commander gives these cards discounts when we discard them. Because our commander says any spell that is discarded gets mayhem, which is really cool. Next, we have our artifacts. We're playing a Soul Ring, an Arcane Signet, a Felifar Stone, and all three of the talismans. These are all our mana rocks. The cool thing about all these mana rocks here is that because our commander gives a discount of 2 colorless, congratulations, if we discard any of these 2-cost colorless cards, we actually get to cast them for free, which is just really awesome. Next, we have a card I'm debating if I keep in the deck, and that is Pumpkin Bombs. This card's very thematic, and it's really cool. It says tap this card, discard 2 cards, then draw 3 cards, and then put a fuse counter on this artifact. However, the problem I don't like about it is that as soon as this resolves, you give this to an opponent. So that's what I don't like about this card. It's like one iffy card in the deck, but there's not a lot of looting cards I can find. Maybe there's another like blue looting spell I should be playing instead of this, but I don't know. I just felt a little weird. It is a 2-mana spell to discard 2, draw 3. I just don't like that it goes to your opponent. It's like one of those wish spells, which sucks, but overall it's still really good. Next, we have Domain Gate. It says prevent all combat damage you would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. Basically, keeps all your tokens alive because they're all weenies. We need them to live so we can have a big army and kill our opponents. That's the one problem with Goblin decks. They have a whole bunch of goblins, and they want to attack, but they're all 1/1, so they easily get blocked and die unless someone's open. So you gotta be careful. Next, we have Horn and Mark, a really good draw spell. It says whenever 2 or more creatures you control attacks, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your library, reveal a creature card among them, put them into your hand as long as it has the same type. Really great card. Just really helps you just keep your hands solid and full. Really good card. Next, we have Pyro the Heroes. Another great card. For 2 mana, you may sacrifice a creature, search your library for a creature card that shares that creature type, and the sacrificed creature will convert a mana cost equal to 1 plus that creature's mana cost. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate only as a sorcery. Just a really good card. Helps you get a lot of your goblins out of the deck. Just a fantastic card overall. Next, you have Brass Tunnel Grinder. Really good card. When this card enters, you discard any number of cards and draw that many cards +1. And then at the end step, if there's you put a a counter on this card, and then if there's 3 counters on the card, this card transforms into a land, a legendary land that says, "Hey, I want red mana." Also, whenever you cast a permanent using mana produced by this card, you get to discover X, where X is that mana value, which is really cool. Discovery is just really cool mechanic, and in fact, we have access to it. It feels awesome. Next, we have Monument of Endurance. We are a discard deck. It says, whenever you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen yet. Draw a card, create a treasure token, or each opponent loses 3 life. Feels good. Speaking of discarding cards, we also have my favorite discard card. That is Made the Great Door. Draw a card, then discard a card, and then if you pay 4, you can transform this card if you have 4 permanents engraved. And congratulations, it has basically infinite mana. You can add X mana equal to any color, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. Really great stuff. This helps you mana ramp super well. But usually we don't even do that because all our stuff's so low to begin with. We're usually just keeping it as a draw discard outlet that is every turn without paying mana, which feels really good. We're also playing Urza's Incubator because it also says choose a creature type, in this case Goblin. And congratulations, all goblins have a discount of 2, which is even better because Mayhem exists. So you even give it a bigger discount and basically makes it free. We also have Herald's Horn. It says, hey, not only do I give you a discount for your goblins, but also every draw step. Review the top, every upkeep, little top card of your library. Congratulations, if it's a creature of the chosen type, reveal it, put it to your hand, so it's more draw. Same thing with Gaverick Stone from Lorwyn. It does the same thing, but also it activates when it enters as well. Really good card. Next, we have our enchantments. So that is it for artifacts and our lovely sorceries and instants. All we have left now is the lovely enchantments. We are playing, of course, Torment of Existence. Hey, paying 1 black mana. Choose a discard a creature card and return a target card from your graveyard to your hand. Basically allows you to always get back the creatures you need from grave. If your opponent keeps killing your Cranko Mob Boss, well, no worries. You can always keep adding it back to hand so you can discard it on a later turn or that turn to recast them and keep going. We also have Ripples of Unearth. This card does mill our graveyard, which feels good. Also draws us cards and also just filters out what we really need. This card is like a hit or miss sometimes, because sometimes you don't want to be paying the mana, because this is Grixis, so sometimes we need every mana not to be untapped. But overall, it's just a good card. You should play it. We also have Shadow of the Goblin. This card's amazing. Since the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card, and if you do, draw a card. This is whenever you play a land or cast a spell anywhere other than your hand, this enchantment does 1 damage to each opponent. Really cool card. We also have Cool But Rude, a new card from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set that says, hey, whenever you attack, you may discard a card or draw a card. You may level it up to say whenever you discard a card, this card deals 2 damage to each opponent. And then its third class says when this card becomes level 3, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and discard a card at random. Feels really good. So basically just becomes a gamble for free, which is awesome. Next we have Artist Talent. This card's awesome. And it says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get to make discard a card. If you do, draw a card. You can level up to level 2. This says non-creature spells cost 1 less to cast. And at level 3 says if a source would deal non-combat damage to an opponent, you may deal that much damage plus 2 instead. That doesn't really ever come up. We're usually just using the first and second maybe, but that's really about it. Next we have Black Market Connections. We all know what this does. You pay 1 life to create a treasure token. You pay 2 life to draw a card. You pay 3 life to make a 3/3 color shapeshifter token, which is just really good. It's a changeling, so it is all creature types, so it is a goblin, which feels awesome. We're also playing Phyrexian Arena, which draws you an additional card by paying 1 life. We're also playing a Shared Animosity that says, hey, this is a win condition card. Whenever a creature control attacks, it gets a +1/+0 until the end of the turn where X is equal to, basically, where equal to the amount of creatures that share the same type. So if we spawn 10 goblins, congratulations, all those goblins get +10/+10, and you can kind of just win the game. Not to mention, these spells cost really cheap. Like this is a 1-cost spell because of our commander. Really good stuff. We also have Goblin Slide. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay 1. If you do, put a 1/1 red goblin token with haste onto the battlefield. It is just a token generator. Really good stuff. And finally, for our last card, it is not an enchantment, but it is a planeswalker. We are playing Dak Faden, which says, hey, for +1, you may draw 2, then discard 2. Just more consistent ways to filter our hand. Also, for -2, you get to steal an opponent's artifact. Not only includes artifact creatures, but they're soul rings, they're arcane signets, any really good artifact. And then for -6, you get an emblem that says whenever you cast a spell that targets one of our permanents, gain control of those permanents. Really nasty stuff. And then finally, let's talk about the lands. I think there's 35 in the deck. I could be mistaken. It might be 34. We're playing Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Reflecting Pool, Scheduled Courtyard, Mana Conference, City of Brass, and a Path of Ancestry, and of course a Survivor's Enchantment for our colorless mana, or our rainbow mana. Next we're playing a Volcanic Island, a Storm Cave Coast, a Shieldred's Reef, a Steam Vents, a Training Center, a Sulphur's Falls for our blue-red Izzet mana. Next, for Rakdos, we're playing a Badlands, a lovely Blazemire Verge, a Blood Crypt, a Sulphur Springs, a Dragon Skull Summit, and a Smoldery Marsh. And then for our lovely Demir lands, we're of course playing a Underground Sea, a Morphic Pool, a Sunken Hollow, a Watery Grave, a Underwater River, a Down Catacombs, and finally we are playing 3 swamps, 3 mountains, and 3 islands for our lands that are basics. Not to mention, I loved how there's Spider-Man art for these because, of course, we are the Green Goblin deck, which is really cool and overall just really awesome. So I hope you all enjoy. Like and subscribe. I will be posting a Venom deck profile soon. I'm still working on it. overall, this is just a really cool deck, and it's a new spin if you're a Goblin fan on a Goblin Commander. I wanted to play something that wasn't just the typical Krenko deck or a Gluxus deck, and I feel like I came up with something pretty awesome. Plus, I think I'm the first one to do it because I have looked through Skyfall, I have looked through other channels. I can't seem to see any deck profiles of a pure Goblin, Green Goblin deck. So I think I'll be the first one to do it. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, hope you all enjoy. Like and subscribe. See you on the next one. And bye-bye.